Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. How well has the government handled FDI in retail and how does it respond to its critics? Those are the two key issues I shall discuss today with the Minister of Commerce and Industry, Anand Sharma. Minister, after 9 days of paralysis in Parliament, can you accept that announcing this decision slap bang in the middle of a parliamentary session was a mistake? You've given your opponents a handle to challenge you, and today as a result your government looks as if it's in crisis.
Well, the opponents have much to answer than the government. We didn't time it with the Parliament. Well, there can be two views, that why did we bring it now? But this has been there for months, more than a year.
Except that you knew that this was going to provoke opposition.
No, I never thought so. I thought they would be reasonable in accepting, because the principal opposition party, that's the one which is opposing it because of partisan agenda. I can understand the blinkered view and ideology of the left. So BJP and the
Are you seriously telling me that you had no anticipation or expectation of the furor that's broken out?
Well, it's the executive decision. That's the domain of the executive.
Except you could have taken it a month earlier, you could have taken it a month later. Why?
I can tell you straight away. We never thought about it because this was there, it was listed in the agenda, it went through, it has gone through all processes. On the 3rd of August this year, I had informed Parliament. So when they were informed and there was a detailed discussion on this subject, why should they then be reacting there? In the intervening period, they could have written to us.
So you're telling me that you were taken completely by surprise by the reaction from MPs and politicians and parties?
Well, I can understand that there are some who have been misled because of the canards and the apprehensions that are sought to be created. So misgivings I can address, but motivated opposition is something which people have to see through.
Look for a moment at your own allies. Mamata Banerjee has today said that she will always oppose FDI
in
retail for the simple reason that in her manifesto she has declared opposite.
I entirely agree.
But were you unaware that in her manifesto she was against it?
No, I'm not unaware, because I had gone to Calcutta to speak to Mamata and she made it very clear to me. That was well before the cabinet note was moved.
So you knew that she was against this?
No, yes, but she asked one thing specifically, that please make it absolutely clear that this will be the discretion of the states.
Except that's not sufficient for her because it hasn't won her over. She continues to oppose it.
Well, let's see. I think we have respected that wish. India is a federal country. And everyone has to understand, like BJP is today saying, that they will not have it in their states. We respect that. But though two of the BJP states...
Come back to Mamata Banerjee.
No, let me take it to the BJP.
Come back to Mamata Banerjee because she's one of your allies. You discussed this with her, as you tell me. You said you were aware that in her manifesto she's opposed FDI.
So we have respected that.
But then did you misunderstand the response she gave you? Were you
no, it's not a question of
opposition?
misunderstanding or not understanding. But we also should be clear in our approach that India is a country, a republic, which has a federal polity. Now, there are many states, big states of the Republic, which want it. So when a central government takes a decision, you have to wait, you have to harmonize, you have to create a broad-based consensus. There can never be unanimity, but we respect. Mamata is a very valuable ally, Trinamool is a valuable ally, and therefore what they wanted, we have put that in.
Except for the fact that she's not won over by your argument. You're saying you respect her right to dissent, but you don't want her to veto it for other states. No, she's not accepting that.
No, let's leave. She has not said that she's going to veto for the rest of the states.
She said that she can't accept it because it's against her manifesto.
No, that is for the province of West Bengal. Let's not be
you mean she has another manifesto for the rest of India?
No, I don't think so, because I'm not clear on that. She didn't say that she's going to veto it for the rest of the country, and I'm very clear in my understanding. Tomorrow if Maharashtra says that I don't want to have it, I will not have the rest of the country have it. Tomorrow if Punjab and Haryana get up and say that we want it, and we'll see who opposes us, or Andhra. Listen, these are subjects on the concurrent list, therefore
that I understand. But let's leave that aside. I want to concentrate for a moment on your handling. Today, the government looks isolated and people ask themselves a simple question. Why are Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi not expressing in public their support for FDI and retail? Are they against it? Is their silence ominous? What does it mean?
Where's the silence?
They haven't said a word on it.
Well,
at the Youth Congress rally, the Prime Minister spoke up. Yes. Mrs. Gandhi remained quiet.
Ms. Gandhi addressed the other subject.
Absolutely, but on this subject she's silent.
Listen,
Rahul Gandhi is silent.
do you think the Congress spokesperson can come out and articulate complete support without the party endorsement?
You're making my point for me. If the support comes from the Congress spokesperson but not the Congress president or the Congress general secretary, it's making a telling point.
No. Congress spokespersons never speak without the complete authorization of the party.
Except for the fact when there's a crisis and the Prime Minister looks in trouble and the cabinet looks as if it's isolated, surely you expect the Congress president to declare her support. You expect Rahul Gandhi to do so, but they're not. I ask you, why?
I think we're making too much of it. All what is very close to the Congress leadership, particularly the interest of the small farmer, the interest of the small industry, cottage industry, and the consumers.
In which case, why isn't Sonia Gandhi saying this is the interest of farmers?
No, listen, I think it's stretching it too far. The party stands united. Party is one. To which party does Congress?
All right, I'll accept your word for it.
To which party, my question would be, to which party Prime Minister Manmohan Singh belongs, or Pranab Mukherjee,
when
or myself?
the nuclear deal crisis hit this country in 2008 and there was an initial period of silence from Sonia Gandhi and people pointed out that she didn't seem to be supporting the Indo-US nuclear deal, she then went public. This time round, when people are raising questions about her silence on FDI and retail, she continues to be silent. That's why I asked the question.
Well, I think I leave it at that, but I'm absolutely clear that the party is united.
Let me bring up another aspect of the handling of this issue. Instead of implementing it in an experimental and calibrated way, do you think you've been overambitious? When China introduced in 1989 FDI in retail, they limited it to just 2 cities, Beijing and Shanghai, and they put a cap on the number of stores. You've permitted it in 53 cities at one go with no limit on the number of stores.
No, hang on. That would come in the implementation guidelines. Number of stores, China is a different country. You must understand that. China is a different system. You must not confuse China and India. We have not adopted China's model, America's model, or European model.
Except that you've been much more generous than China was. China limited it to 2 cities in 89. You've extended it to 53.
Don't forget that China did it 100% without any restrictions. We have put very restricted conditions.
What about the number of stores? Could you put a cap on that?
Listen, this is to be done by the state governments. Do you think the government of India, the union government, gives the trade license or shop license?
So the state governments have a right to impose a limit on the number of stores that can be set up?
The implementation is to be done by the states, not by the central government.
So there could be some measure of further restriction introduced by the states?
The policy is an enabling policy. We have made it clear that the state governments will decide on the implementation. They can accept it, they can change it, they can tweak it. It's up to them.
They can tweak it?
Yes, because listen,
that answers my
trade
question.
license and shop license under the Shop and Establishment Act is given by the state government.
All right.
Government of India is not there to give you the license to set up.
I accept that. You've clarified that the states can tweak it if they want. Let's come to what I call the fourth element of handling that has caused a certain amount of concern. People say that you might have misrepresented the case that you were trying to sell to the country. For instance, the government's background paper, officially released by the PIB, says, and I'm quoting, 30% sourcing can be done from anywhere in the world and is not India specific. At your press conference on Friday, you took that line, but 24 hours later, you changed your position and started insisting it was India specific. And people say, is he contradicting himself?
The background paper is a background paper, not an official statement.
It's released by the PIB.
Yes, but okay. As clarification was sought, we looked into our own internal consultations, and I looked at my own reply in Rajya Sabha on the 3rd of August, and we were very clear that we have made a departure. We have made a departure to make it India specific.
So the PIB paper is wrong?
No.
So the PIB paper is wrong?
No, that was reflecting the WTO position, which this country is signatory to. But we have made a conscious departure from that, as we did for the solar mission, as we did for IT.
So when people say you were either confused or contradicting yourself...
I was not confused, nor contradicting myself. The statement which I made in the Rajya Sabha on the 3rd of August is the final.
Except that on Friday at your press conference you said it was not India specific. 24 hours later you said it was.
I never said that.
The papers quoted you saying it.
The papers may have quoted. Find on camera my voice whether I have said it. I said it will be, of course.
Right.
The definition is such, what I said, that it is only for Indian SMEs, because the maximum limit is investment up to $1 million. Now $1 million is 5 crores. When you go to outside India, 5 crores is not the definition of MSMEs.
Okay, I understand that. Let's now move away from the government's handling and let me put to you how you respond to the criticisms that have been made. You've gone public to say that FDI in retail will generate 10 million jobs in 3 years.
Yes, they will.
Why is it that Montek Singh Ahluwalia, who I interviewed just 2 days ago, repeatedly refused to endorse that figure? In fact, he went public and said he knew nothing about it.
Well, Montek is the deputy chairman of the Planning Commission, but I don't think that Montek was working on these numbers with us. We have studies and empirical evidence. Let me also take you back.
Where does this figure come from?
Listen, it's very clear. There are standards set that what amount of investment, what amount of expansion, and how many jobs it will generate.
What I ask is this a credible figure?
It is a very credible figure.
You didn't pluck it out of a hat?
No.
I'll tell you why I ask, because Business Line has published studies which suggest that if foreign retailers acquire up to 20% market share in India, which they easily can, you'll end up losing 8 million jobs. That's the exact opposite of what you're saying.
I'm a bit surprised by this analysis, because you have made it mandatory that 50% of the investment will be in the rural India. That's to create an integrated infrastructure. Once you create that, you set up agro-processing industries, fruit processing industries, warehouses, cold storage. Allow me to complete. You also are going to start from the farm gate, sorting, grading, and then the next line starts of pulping, juicing, pickling. Is it going to generate jobs or take away jobs?
But 10 million?
But the front end also, don't forget
So
that.
you stand by the 10 million figure?
I'm conservative in 10 million.
It could be more.
10 million in 1 year I'm talking.
You actually said 10 million in 3, but never mind. Now you're saying 10 million in 1.
You see, I have re-looked and reworked the figures. In case of BJP NDA government, I have gone through their internal notes and studies. 2002, the empowered group of ministers.
No, come back to the employment figure.
No, yes, employment figure, they said 8 million in 2002.
So what is your estimate now? What will it be at the end of 3 years?
Well, depending on how many projects are set up.
But it could be 30 million.
I'm not talking of 30 million.
But it could be in excess of 10 million. That you're saying. You said it.
It could be definitely in excess of 10 million, definitely.
Okay.
It could be 14, could be 20.
This will be very reassuring to people.
Yes,
it's another matter whether they fully accept it, but those who do will be reassured.
Well, I'll always have skeptics to deal with.
Let me bring up...
You know, any major initiative in this country in the last 25 years, 26 years, has always met with this kind of skepticism and response.
Skepticism is often healthy. Let me bring up...
No, skepticism is healthy. Partisan agendas do not contribute.
I'm not bringing up partisan agendas. I'm bringing up people's real concern. A second concern is the impact of FDI in retail on small retailers and what are called kirana shops. Studies done in Thailand suggest that in the 5 years after 97, when FDI in retail was permitted, up to 60% of Thai-owned grocery stores shut down. In Britain, between 81 and 99, over 50% of independent
I know what you are saying. Let me
down.
respond straight away.
How do you know that won't happen in India?
Have you adopted Thailand model or British model? It's India specific. It has India signature. It has taken into consideration the India's complexities, socio-economic realities, geographical diversity, and also the interest and the concerns of the small retailers. So therefore, the small retailer has the right, a licensed retailer, to access at discounted wholesale price from the cash and carry point, and the retailer, big retailer, is obliged to give it to the small retailer.
So in other words, the small retailer can get the benefit of the cash and carry discounts that are available.
Absolutely. And also we have our estimation that small retail for the next 2 decades will grow at more than 30%.
You stand,
you
stand by that figure as well? Because 30% is often looked at as if it's an exaggerated figure.
Allow me to make a statement now. Don't interrupt. Because when organized retail was introduced in this country, the same thing was said. So organized retail today stands at 6%. Don't forget that this was said that what will happen to the small retails, the kirana stores, the bomb.
So similarly, small retail after FDI will grow as well.
Beyond that, you have given me the example only of the first 2 years of China. What the next 20 years, what has happened in China? How many small retailers are there? Why didn't we discuss Indonesia? Indonesia is a country similar to India, one of the most populous countries after India in Asia, developing country. In Indonesia, they have allowed 100%. They don't have the conditions of 30% sourcing and the 50% in back-end infrastructure.
So you're saying to
me...
No,
but there the small retailer retains 90% of the market
share. So you're
share.
saying to me that the Indian experience will be closer to the Indonesian one rather than the Thai one?
Maybe the better.
Okay, let's then put another concern to you. Arun Jaitley, writing in the Economic Times, has said that FDI in retail will be a very bad impact on the manufacturing sector in India. And let me give you his explanation. He says that India has a high-cost manufacturing base, as a result of which foreign retailers will source a variety of everyday items from low-cost countries like China. That will retard growth in Indian manufacturing and also lead to job losses.
Can I tell you? First of all, this informed opinion Arun Jaitley should have given to his own cabinet when they prepared a note for 100% FDI. Now, moving away from that, let me be very clear. Even without this policy, big retailers, global retailers are sourcing out of India, whether it's Tesco, whether it's Marks and Spencer, and more importantly...
But they are required to sell cheaply when they set up department stores in India. Therefore, they could source from China because China's manufacturing goods are cheaper than Indians.
They are not required to.
They will want to.
No, I'm sorry.
Are you putting a stop on that?
No, listen, there are safeguards. Don't forget that there's safeguards duty, anti-dumping duty, and which defines it with clinical clarity.
There will be...
Allow me, which defines with absolute clarity that if there is even a threatened or feared injury to domestic industry, the state steps in.
So there will be some check in terms of competition.
I don't think that's going to happen.
And also in terms
and I don't buy Arun Jaitley's argument about the cost of manufacturing, because China is already escalating, number one. Second thing, this fear and this doubting Thomas, I would like to say that they should look at the reality. Has IKEA come to India? Do they have a single store in India? The answer is no, with a capital N. But the fact is that they are doing, for their global operations, 30% of the sourcing from India. Why doesn't Arun Jaitley and others comment on that?
IKEA comes under single brand retail, not multi-brand retail.
But 30% sourcing is from India.
I take the point you're making, that you're disputing Arun Jaitley's claim. You believe that in fact there is no threat to manufacturing.
No.
Minister, let's take a break there. When I come back, I want to ask you about the impact FDI on retail will have for farmers and on urban consumers. That's said to be the big benefit. Is it really the case? That's in a moment's time. See you after the break. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate and an interview with the Commerce and Industry Minister, Anand Sharma. Let me come to what perhaps is the biggest potential benefit that FDI in retail will bring, and ask you to tell me, on the basis of your research and your analysis, what you think will be the impact on farmers, farm livelihoods and farm incomes.
First, the farmer will get better returns for his toil, definitely much more than what they are getting now. Women in rural areas, young people in rural areas will get work because of the integrated value chain which we seek to create in rural India. Third, the consumer will get the benefit. Fourth, the manufacturing will get a fillip, because if you make it mandatory, 30% sourcing, actually it will be much more. So I have seen with my own eyes, Karan, if you travel, I travel all over the country, that what is being made in India is being sold in New York and in London.
For a moment, stick to farmers. Will farm incomes go up substantially?
Yes.
What will be the impact of FDI in retail for urban consumers?
At least 15% less, if not 20.
Things will cost 15% less.
Once it starts rolling out.
So what you're saying is both farmers and urban consumers will gain. Farmers will get more income, urban consumers will be able to buy things cheaper.
Well, let's not forget that as of now, if a farmer gets 5 rupees, say, for a vegetable, India's post-harvest losses are unacceptably high. For fruits and vegetables, close to 40%. And if a farmer gets 5 rupees, you, Karan, and me, at the retail outlet in Delhi, will end up paying 35 rupees. So where is this middle income, this intermediaries, where is it going?
I take your point. What will be the message that India sends out to the outside world if FDI in retail becomes a reality? How will the outside world thereafter view India as an investment destination?
Very positively, that this is a country which has self-confidence, which is forward-looking, which has a vision and a commitment to its own future.
And will FDI in retail also be an adequate response to critics of the government like Azim Premji, Deepak Parekh, even Mukesh Ambani?
Well, I'm not saying about individuals. The issue here is there were talk for a long time of policy paralysis and crisis of governance.
This ends it.
The manufacturing policy and now this, in less than 1 month, these are two major policy rollouts.
So this
is not that because we have responded to the critics. This was a work in progress for more than a year.
You've given me 3 or 4 reasons why farmers, why individual consumers, why the outside world looking to India as an investment destination will be pleased by this policy. But you also know that your opponents in Parliament are against it, your allies have doubts about it, many people in your party are questioning it. If FDI in retail doesn't happen, if it's either rolled back or put in a
Why should it be rolled back? We have acted out of conviction, carefully thought it through. We will talk to our allies, we are talking to them, we respect them. Our party MPs, if some of them, very few, out of 207, 2 have expressed reservations, and we are responding to that.
In which case, my last question, when will the notification of the rules be made public? It was supposed to happen this week, it clearly hasn't.
No, it is a process.
But when will it happen?
Well, the process, ministers don't deal with the process, the civil servants.
But is there a deadline for that process, or
There's
could it
no
just linger
deadline.
on forever?
No, it doesn't go on forever.
Is that not another way of putting in abeyance this whole policy?
No question.
You're sure?
Absolutely.
Will it happen before the end of this calendar year?
Well, I'm sure. Now again, the question of timing. First, we are being told why you did it, didn't do it later.
The world wants a clear answer. I've run out of time. Will it happen before the end of the calendar year?
I'm saying it has already happened. The rest are formalities.
Anand Sharma, a pleasure talking to you.